and I got it on tape, and I just...
What did you get on tape? What did you say?
I got him literally saying, we will not represent white men, and it's company policy.
It's starting to look like the intense racism of anti-racism is crumbling. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. This is where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants and Satan, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. Now, one of the freedom fighters in our world today is comedian Tyler Fisher. He is a brilliant comedian. He's a friend of mine, friend of ours if you're in the mafia, and he was recently on Joe Rogan talking about how he was fired from an agency for being white. That is the exact reasons. He got it on tape, and that company that was representing him is now facing a discrimination lawsuit, which the principle of that matters because that is standing. Tyler is standing for more than just himself. He's standing for actual equality, not, hey, let's do inequality and discrimination, but call it equality. This is a fascinating story. It was just aired to the world, and we're going to go through it. And before we jump into it, let's remind ourselves of a quote from a guy named Martin Luther King Jr. Here it is. I have a dream that my little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This guy kind of stood for civil rights. He stood for the opposite of DEI and discriminate against the wrong color of people, which now is like white and like heterosexual, if that's a color. So I think where the world is going is back to the dream of Martin Luther King. So let's do a little eavesdropping on Tyler Fisher and Joe Rogan's conversation to hear about Tyler's story that's starting to help take down this nasty little monster.
In response to one of these things at Disney, where one of the guys at Disney like openly said, I would never hire a straight white man.
We can tell Disney.
Like, what?
I have that on tape. You know, I have a lawsuit.
Well, that's why I'm bringing this up.
Yeah. I mean,
so you and I talked about it in the green room, and tell your story. Like, tell what happened and how this shit fest.
Yeah. It's quite a long story. I mean, when I started comedy I've been doing it 20 years. So I've been on TV shows, guest stars, co-stars. You never really heard, that's too many white guys, or, it's getting a little too white. And then I remember, like, at comedy clubs, you just start to hear people say, there's too many white guys.
Too many white guys. Too many. The idea that at comedy clubs they wouldn't be saying, like, there's too mmany unfunny guys or unfunny women. It's just like, smells too white in here. People living out of phase with Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote.
I had an acting agent who, whenever I would do stand, I used to host Mark Norman's show, Hot Soup. And all the agents would come, and every couple months someone would go, why aren't you on SNL? We got to get you in Hollywood. And I'd go, well, sure, sign me. Send me. You need auditions. And so this guy saw him, and he brought me in. It was the biggest agency at the time. Abrams, it was called. And I'm waiting around going, what's going on? No auditions? Is SNL coming to check me out? And he emails and he goes, it's too tough out there for white guys. He kind of was like, we're done here. The next day, fires me, removes me. Right? Well, no, the next day. It was soon after, removed me from the roster. I got an email.
Too many white guys. We'll get back to this in just a second, but first, do you ever wish you felt better, had more energy, looked better? Well, your health and body are the most valuable assets you'll ever have. But unfortunately, normal healthcare is nothing more than disease management. But if you want something more than that, you need health optimization. And no one does that better than Merrick Health. Regular healthcare often denies you of progressive treatment options, progressive lab work, and it all lags years behind the leading research. And that's not good enough for me, and I hope it's not good enough for you. And luckily, Merrick Health represents a paradigm shift in how we approach medicine, empowering you to maximize your longevity and your performance with the confidence that comes from having experts in your back pocket. That's why I use and trust Merrick Health. From hormone optimization and cognitive enhancements to body composition, Merrick Health has you covered, all from the comfort of your home. Merrick's optimization package includes the same elaborate panel I get myself. And with those test results, the Merrick Health clinical team optimizes my personal protocol, which I am very happy with. To get the exact same panel and medical oversight that I get myself, click the link in the video description or go to merrickhealth.com/JPReacts and use code JPReacts to save 10% at checkout. Enjoy. Back to the video.
Some more time went by, and then another manager scouted me, brought me in. It's called AGI Entertainment, I think. And he goes, dude, you're a killer. He goes, you got an acting resume? He goes, we're going to get you on Curb Your Enthusiasm, you know. And I was like, okay, maybe this is finally somebody who's got the balls to fight this. Months go by. He calls me, and he goes, we hit a snag. He said, we can't have any more white guys, or we're not hiring white guys. We're not representing white guys. And I just was like, what the f*** is going on? How could you say that? And I go, is it company policy? And he goes, yeah. So halfway through the conversation, I take my phone out, because this happened so many times. I was losing my f***ing mind. My therapist goes, dude, you got to start recording this. You have to record this stuff, because it was happening every month. I got a commercial campaign. They go, you've been replaced with a black woman. He goes, you're the guy for the job. It was like a hosting thing where you got to do impressions. I was perfect for it. They replaced me. So I started, being prepared, and I recorded it.
That was sort of game, set, match against this agency.
And I got it on tape, and I just...
What did you get on tape? What did he say?
I got him literally saying, we will not represent white men, and it's company policy. He said it in plain, it couldn't be any more clear.
That is pretty clear. And if you just imagine it's 1950s, that's being said to another race, it's understandable that someone who's woke would say that's bad. But if you stand on principle, you look at that being said to anyone's race, and you can realize, yeah, that is bad. It's almost like you could jump to a conclusion that discrimination is bad. If you're not careful, you'll get based and conservative enough that you might start to think that.
Wow.
He said, we cannot work with you just because your skin color.
And where were you when you recorded this? Were you in New York?
Yeah, I was in New York, so you're allowed to do it.
You're allowed
to do it. Yeah. I didn't even know that.
Do you have to tell them that you're recording? No?
Wow. No, I was sitting at my I did like a little, because I couldn't work because of the vaccine stuff, so I was just locked in my room.
And so when you recorded this on tape, what happened after you recorded it on tape?
After that, I was too afraid, because when I would tell people about this, they would go, well, whatever, white guys have had it good. And I'm going, I just fucking got here. Because it's so humiliating to have someone go, your skin color is it's just not the time for it. And so I just thought, I'm going to go for it. And I just put it on Instagram. I said, hey, I just got turned down for being white. Any attorneys out there? And one guy reached out and goes, I'm a discrimination attorney. He goes, this is one of the most clear acts of discrimination I've ever seen. He said, it's so clear cut. So that was a couple years ago. So it's an ongoing thing. These things take a long time.
And in case it's not clear there, this lawsuit Tyler has against the agency that fired him, recorded, literally tell him, we're not going to work with you anymore because you're white. That is an ongoing lawsuit. It's in litigation right now. They want to settle with Tyler, and he wants to stand on principle and not take a little bit of money or even a bunch of money to settle, because he is standing on principle, not just for himself, but I would dare say for the betterment of all people who don't believe in the religion of discrimination, which I admire, and thus he's a freedom fighter.
And so what are you're suing for discrimination? Is that what you're suing for?
Yeah. Every race is protected under the civil rights laws.
Wait, Tyler, every race is protected under the civil rights laws? Well, that's something that we all kind of knew, but some pretend like that's not the case. Say more.
There's
Isn't that crazy, though, that they would think they're so encaptured by this fucking mind virus that they would think it's okay to be racist to white people.
Not only okay, but like celebratory.
Yeah. Wild.
Yeah. And I don't let people fucking do that to me. People think I'm just this nice I'm a fucking animal.
Yeah, he is nice, but yeah, animal too.
When you grow up in a crazy environment and you survive it, man, it's like, come at me. And I just said, it's a hill I'll die on. I don't care.
The hill you die on. If you're on a hill and you're willing to die on it, you have the mindset that says it's better to die on my feet than live on my knees. So when you're on your hill is made out of principles. But if you're on what you think is a hill and you're willing to get off it because the rest of the crowd's going over there, or you feel intimidated for standing on that hill, when you get off it, you didn't leave principled. You didn't leave a hill based based on principles. You left a hill that's based on something far weaker. But when you're on a hill of real principles, those are the hills that real men and real women are willing to die on. But the irony is, the more you're willing to die on those principled hills, the more you live. Because it's hard to have a good life when you're not principled. And if you're not willing to stand for your principles, you are not principled.
I was like, this is war. We are in a full-blown culture war. I would give up everything for it. Because also owe it to, people that can't fight for themselves. I had this 10-year period where this shit wasn't going on. I built up my acting chops, my comedy chops, with nobody saying, you can't do that, you can't say that. And so I had this kind of, this energy. I go, I have to, no one's going to do it for you, I saw Jordan Peterson, fight for that Bill C-16 thing.
Yeah.
And I go, holy shit. Watching, if it's worth watching the congressional hearing in Canada, where he's explaining you can't compel speech, you can't tell somebody you have to say my pronouns or you go to jail. He's like, this is gonna get out of control. Everything he said came true.
You know the old saying, what it takes for evil to proliferate is a few good men to do nothing? I think that's unfortunately true, but fortunately, good men and good women are doing something, and it's happening more and more. It was happening very rarely back in 2020, but now it's happening more and more. Case in point, Tyler Fisher, he's on his hill he's willing to die on because he's principled, he's standing for principles, and the world needs that. More of us need that. It's for the betterment of our children's future, and I get inspired when I see people like Tyler doing this, fighting back against not only a corrupt system, but fighting back against the mind virus that's trying to infect everybody. With that said, this is an example of a freedom fighter, Tyler Fisher, fighting back against the incredible racism of anti-racism that discriminates based on race, which unfortunately is violating civil liberty protections. Haha! Stay tuned to see how this lawsuit plays out. And I appreciate you watching this video, my friend. I will see you on our next one, but until then, stay principled.